Welcome, everyone, to our journey into the heart of frontier survival. I bet you didn't know just how dangerous a prairie winter could be, or the remarkable secret pioneers used to stay alive. Imagine a vast white emptiness, the northern plains in the heart of winter. The wind howls, relentless and icy, scouring the landscape. For frontier families, survival was a daily struggle fought with grit and ingenuity. Their small cabins stood as lonely outposts against nature's immense power. The cold was a predator, waiting for the smallest mistake. Inside, the cast-iron stove was the heart of the family, warmth, food, and light in the darkness. But a weak fire meant little comfort. A smoky stove filled the cabin with a slow poison. The difference between a clean, hot fire and a smoky, weak one was the difference between life and death. Every action, from felling trees to banking embers at night, was part of the fight for survival. The prairie winter did not forgive carelessness. It demanded respect, foresight, and deep understanding. The story of how these families triumphed over the cold is not one of modern technology, but of quiet wisdom and a remarkable secret hidden just beneath their feet. This is the story of the underground firewood chamber. The most obvious challenge was finding enough wood, several cords to survive a single winter. Felling, cutting and hauling logs was backbreaking work, but only half the battle. The true enemy was moisture. Wet or green wood wasted energy boiling away water, producing smoke and little heat. Even a mountain of wood was useless if soaked by rain or buried by snow. The very weather they needed protection from ruined their fuel. Snow and rain saturated wood piles, and the damp air prevented drying. Lean-tos and animal hides helped, but were imperfect. The real problem wasn't just having wood, but having dry, burnable wood when it was needed most. Dampness was the silent saboteur of winter survival. The settlers needed a better solution. How did they solve this puzzle? The answer was below ground. Pioneers used the earth itself, building underground firewood chambers, wood root cellars. Just a few feet down, the earth stays cool, stable, and crucially dry. Storing seasoned firewood underground protected it from rain, snow, and ice. The Earth's thermal mass became the ultimate storage shed, immune to storms. Instead of fighting the elements, they moved the wood where the elements couldn't reach. Even in a blizzard, a trapdoor or hatch revealed perfectly dry, ready-to-burn firewood. This secret ensured warmth, health, and peace of mind. Building these chambers took foresight and hard work. The chamber had to be dug below the frost line, sometimes 8 or 10 feet down. A shallow pit would freeze. Only depth brought stability. Drainage was key. The floor sloped gently, guiding water to a sump pit filled with gravel. Gravity did the work. No pumps, just smart design. Even during wet seasons, the wood stayed elevated and dry. Some chambers were under the cabin, accessible by trapdoor. Others were nearby, sealed tight. Every detail, from depth to drainage, was practical earth-based engineering. The chamber was more than storage. It was an engineered environment to combat moisture. This was the settlers' answer to the prairie's unforgiving winter. Stabilizing the chamber walls was crucial. Exposed earth could collapse, so settlers lined the chamber with dry stacked stone. No mortar, just carefully fitted stones, creating strong, breathable walls. These gaps allowed slow, natural ventilation, preventing stagnant damp air. Moisture vapor could escape, keeping the chamber dry and mould-free. The ceiling was built with thick timbers, prairie grass, and a layer of clay-rich soil. This earthen roof insulated and let moisture escape upward. The chamber was not a sealed box, but a dynamic environment regulating its own humidity. Settlers worked with nature, not against it, managing moisture by letting it move and disperse. The result? A simple, intelligent system that kept firewood dry all winter. Their design was both practical and profoundly clever. The breathing chamber was a triumph of observation and adaptation. Even stacking the wood required care. Logs weren't tossed in, they were stacked to maximize airflow. A base layer of poles or stones raised the wood off the ground. Logs were laid in crisscrossing layers, creating air channels throughout the pile. This prevented damp pockets and allowed air to circulate, keeping every log dry. Careful stacking was slower, but it preserved the value of every log. Each piece of wood was a measure of warmth and safety. The art of stacking completed the system, ensuring tinder-dry firewood in the depths of winter. The pioneers' patience paid off with reliable, efficient fuel. Their method was as much about preservation as survival. The result was life-changing. With dry wood, families faced winter with security. The stove roared to life, producing intense heat and little smoke. Clean air meant fewer illnesses and a healthier home. Dry wood burned longer, stretching supplies through the harshest months. The burden of gathering wood was eased, and anxiety about the cold faded. The underground chamber brought not just warmth, but peace of mind. It transformed winter from a threat into a season of resilience. This system was elegantly simple. No modern materials, just earth, stone, and timber. It was low-tech, but powered by high intelligence and generations of observation. Knowledge spread neighbour to neighbour, becoming communal heritage. The success of one family strengthened the whole settlement. Settlers worked with nature, not against it, using the earth's insulation, gravity, and natural ventilation. Their solution was sustainable, resilient, and perfectly adapted to their environment. The underground wood chamber was a testament to collective wisdom. It stands in contrast to today's complex, energy-intensive solutions. Sometimes the smartest answer is the simplest one. Today, central heating makes the pioneers' struggle seem distant, but their underground wood chamber holds a lesson for us all. The best solutions often come from understanding and working with nature. The settlers' method used no fossil fuels, generated no waste, and relied on local materials. It was truly sustainable technology. Their story reminds us to seek elegant, natural solutions in our own lives. Observation, patience, and adaptation are timeless tools. Our ancestors were resourceful, not helpless. By honouring their ingenuity, we find wisdom for a resilient future. The old ways still have much to teach us about how to thrive.